Hey friends, so we're back for another episode of Katherine's Quarters. There's been so much controversy over the last week. We have to get to Helmet Gate, the second coming with Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett. And then of course we have to talk about Colin Kaepernick's workout. And I have a lot of things to say. I have a lot of opinions and I have a lot of words for Terrell Owens. And anybody who supports what he said to Stephen A. Smith on First Take the other day. But let's get right down to it. If you saw the news over the last couple of days, you saw that Colin Kaepernick got invited by the NFL to have a workout. So he was supposed to have a workout with the NFL. According to Hugh Jackson, about 10 minutes before the workout was supposed to happen in Atlanta, Georgia at the Falcons practice facility, Hugh Jackson got a call that the workout was not going to happen. Colin Kaepernick was not going to come. And Colin Kaepernick's people reached out to everybody who was supposed to be in attendance to the Atlanta Falcons practice facility workout, said, we're going to have a workout over here at this high school in Riverdale. If you know where those two places are in Atlanta, if you understand Atlanta geography, they are not close together. It's not a 5-minute drive down the street. So I get this phone call. Come out, we're gonna have this workout here instead of having it there. There were claims of waivers not being standard and having extra language in them. I will say it was reported by a bunch of lawyers that they would tell their clients not to sign that waiver because it wasn't standard. I don't know anything about waivers. I'm just telling you what was reported. But there was issue with the waivers, there was issues with having media there, and there was just so much that was going into it. And from the jump, it just seemed like something that was not trustworthy on both sides. The NFL not trusting Colin and his people not trusting the NFL. So it felt fishy from the get. Colin ends up having this workout at the high school. How they pulled that together, we will never know, but he had receivers to throw to. There were media people there or people filming. I don't know if there were actual media people, but there were people filming there. There were fans. So obviously no trust on both sides. But either way, Colin has his workout. He gives a little 30-second interview at the end. It wasn't even an interview. I'll call it a 30-second soliloquy at the end of his workout saying he's been ready. He's going to stay ready. If we're understanding what the context of his statement was, he's ready to play in the NFL. And then according to a lot of the scouts, he looks ready. They're going to wait on the 32 teams and the owners and Roger Goodell and all of them to reach out to him and his team and say, hey, we're interested, whatever it is that they are. And he said that him and his team are going to be keeping the world abreast to what transpires and if they hear from them. I will say that I think both sides handled this horrendously. Both sides seemed like they were trying to one-up the other person. It does not seem like this workout was mandated in good faith. It just doesn't. Like nobody saw this coming. This was on a random Tuesday that this news gets announced, and it's like, where have you been for the last 3 years? So on the NFL side, there's all these questions, and then Colin Kaepernick and his team, he changes the venue last minute, and why don't you want to sign the waiver? And if you really want a job in the NFL, wouldn't you just do what they ask you to do? And blah. There are so many things. I don't even know what the end goal was. Like, is there an end game? It doesn't really seem like the end game was anything other than to make the other party look bad. But I do want to address something. Obviously, everybody in the sports world has been talking about this for the last week. It has been news. I don't know how many of you watch ESPN's First Take. Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. It's a debate show. They had T.O. on their show. Terrell Owens, for those of you who don't know who T.O. is, fairly famous, fairly known football player, and he's a fairly outspoken individual as well. So they bring T.O. on the show to have a healthy debate about Colin Kaepernick and whether he was right, wrong, should he have done what the NFL wanted him to do, should he have worn a Kunta Kinte t-shirt to this workout, all of these things they decided that they were going to discuss with Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens did a really good job of articulating his point and trying to get his point across. And then he essentially lost the argument to me. He says, Stephen A., it's like Max is more black than you. Do you understand the level of disrespect that is? You're gonna go on this man's talk show. You're gonna go on this man's debate show and say that his white counterpart is more black than him because he does not agree with your stance. I am not any less black because I don't believe that the way that he handled it is incorrect. It's ridiculous. And then T.O. says, oh, it's tongue-in-cheek, you're taking it too personal, essentially, you're being touchy-feely about it. No, you disrespected me. I'm a whole black man on a television show talking about somebody who has been wronged by the NFL, who I've said has been wronged by the NFL, and I disagree with this one act, so now I'm less black? Come on, dude. I felt like Terrell lost it right there. Terrell could have been giving Stephen A the business all debate long, and right there he lost it. When you're talking about the seriousness and the magnitude of racism and just fighting for, like, wanting to be equal in a workplace and all, like, that's not the time. That is absolutely not the time. So you can say it's tongue-in-cheek all you want to. It was inappropriate, it was disrespectful, it was uncool, and you lost. So we have to get to Helmetgate 2.0. Myles Garrett hits Mason Rudolph in the head with the helmet, and a brawl ensues after that. The league ends up suspending Myles Garrett indefinitely, which essentially means he's suspended for the last 6 games of the season and any playoff appearance that the Browns may or may not make. It's most likely may not. And then he has to go to Roger Goodell and request reinstatement. Mason Rudolph didn't get any games. It took Mason Rudolph like a week to decide that he was even going to apologize for his part in it. But the way he apologized though, he said, "I'm sorry, but." If you say I'm sorry, and then you say but, the I'm sorry is negated. You're sorry for your part in it. Period. There's no need for a but after that unless you feel like you're not actually sorry, because there's an excuse coming after that but. Myles Garrett decides to appeal his suspension. I'm appealing the suspension I found interesting. And of course the verdict came down that they upheld his suspension. But the news actually out of that is that Myles Garrett said that Mason Rudolph called him a racial slur, and that is why he reacted the way that he did. Mason Rudolph's lawyers come out with a really strong statement. Mason would never do this. That's an attack on his character. That's worse than the physical attack he endured. And oh gosh, it was woo. Myles Garrett also issues a statement saying that he thought it was a safe space where he could talk about the incident, not want to excuse his behavior. That's not what he was saying it for. It was purely to give a full recount of what happened in the span of him taking Mason Rudolph down and then being thrown out of the game and subsequently suspended. If Mason Rudolph really did that, there's a whole nother storm brewing if Myles Garrett is lying. And here's the thing. If you're a black person and you've ever been called that particular word that we know that he is referencing, there is no way that you are keeping quiet about that. And I say no way because I can't fathom a world in which I would get called that and not tell everybody I knew and everybody that they all knew. No way. And also, he's been getting ripped in the media for a week and a half. If he had come out at the press conference right after the game and said, "Well, you called me a racial slur and that's why I reacted the way I did. It's not an excuse, but that's the reason I acted the way that I did," there are a lot of people who would have understood that chain of events, that thought process. They would have understood that. Not said it was right, but understood that. But you've waited a week and a half to say that that's what happened. And mind you, I don't think he ever intended for anybody to know that that's what happened. But now we all do. And now we all have questions. There are so many questions. I have so many questions, and I'm probably never going to get them answered. All right, friends, that's going to be it for this episode of Katherine's Quarters. Thank you so much for joining me. I know we talked about a lot of stuff today, so I'd love to hear your opinions, thoughts, feelings, whatever you got to say. There's a comment section below, and of course, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss any great content, any fun stuff, any controversial content. We got it all right here. Check you later.